What's going on, everyone? My name's Patas here with the semi-final episode of our little mini-series, our top 100 greatest Pokemon of all time. Today we are counting through 20 to 11, and the next episode, of course, will be the top 10. So, like I say usually, if you see any of your favorites on today's list, let me know in the comment section below. And seeing as we are getting close to our top 10 right now, let me know what some of your favorite Pokemon are in the comment section below as well. Also, leave a like if you're enjoying the series, and without further ado, let's dive right into it at number 20. So the first Pokemon to grace our list today is nothing but the adorable, the wonderful, the almost perfect Mew. Mew is one of those Pokemon that you can't really hate, you can't really not like. It's such a versatile Pokemon. In the first movie, it was absolutely fantastic. There's so many great things about Mew. In fact, one of the things I like most about Mew is its catch rate, because it has a relatively high catch rate when you look at a lot of legendaries. It's 45 when a lot of legendaries, most legendaries are 3. So when you see this thing in randomized Nuzlocke, you know you have a really, really good chance of actually being able to use this thing. And it has such a versatile moveset, I can learn pretty much every move, I believe, every TM. It has a huge moveset of its own to learn, and of course, it is the older sibling of Mew. I was gonna call it the younger sibling, but the older sibling of Mewtwo. So it also has that going for it. The original Pixie Pokemon. I love it. It's great. It's Mew. We have finally made it to my personal favorite evolution, which is Jolteon. I know everyone has their own opinions, their own separate opinions. Oh, this one's better than this one. But Jolteon, my personal opinion, is the best. I love it. I always use it when I can in Let's Plays, Nuzlocks, and even when I'm not doing YouTube series, I've tried to use Jolteon as much as I can. It's always a reliable electric type to have on the team. It is super, super quick. It's got 130 base speed. So you know it's reliable to go first, pretty much up against anything. Jolteon is a good Pokemon in competitive. It's a good Pokemon in Let's Plays. The only downside to Jolteon, I'd really say, is the lack of electric type moves that it learns normally, because it's an evolution, so it doesn't get a whole lot to go along with it, but it's adorable, and it's my favorite evolution, the best of the bunch, in my personal opinion. Next up is another four-legged friend. We have Rockruff, and I knew the first time I saw Rockruff, I knew that it would be one of my favorite 7th gen Pokemon, and I knew that I wanted to use it in my first Let's Play as well. Unfortunately, that was not the case, but Rockruff is absolutely adorable. I'm a huge fan of just dogs in general. They're my favorite animals. Though I've probably mentioned that before, but Rockruff is such a great little pooch to have. It's rock type, which is a little bit different for your dog Pokemon. I also thought it would be normal type too, but no, they just went with the rock type. It has 2 branching evolutions, which is always cool to have. Definitely always cool to have 2 different kind of evolutions. You can choose what you want. Personally, my favorite evolution is the Lycanroc day form, but Rockruff is absolutely amazing. I have this higher up on the list than Lycanroc, which is pretty funny, but I don't know, just based on the cuteness and the first cutscene in Sun and Moon where it pops up on the screen on the webcam, it's just perfect. I love Rockruff. Kadabra is next on the list, and this is, I feel, mostly for nostalgic reasons. I know I love Kadabra, and I love Alakazam. That whole evolution line is great, but I have Kadabra a lot higher up on the list than Alakazam, which, you know, it's a bit strange considering Alakazam is basically just a better Kadabra, but the reason I have it here is throughout my time playing Blue when I was a kid, for some reason I would only use one Pokemon, and I feel like a lot of people did that too. But I also didn't have the ability to trade, and Kadabra was still a really good Pokemon in Red and Blue, so a lot of the times when I played through Pokemon Blue or Red when I was a kid, I would solely use Kadabra, and I would be able to sweep the entire game with it, because there was nothing stopping Psychic type in Gen 1. So, purely for nostalgic reasons, and the fact that I've used Kadabra so much in the original games, it gets to be number 17. Next up, we have the OG Dragon type, the first Dragon type of the Pokemon series. They made a pretty good start with it. I mean, the sprites in Gen 1 were a little bit off, but they made a pretty good start with the Dragon typing, I have to say. Though it is sad that they didn't introduce more in the first generation. If they did only introduce one, I'm kind of glad it was Dragonite and not, say, I guess, Kingdra. We could have gone down that line and had Dragonite in Gen 2, something like that. I don't know, but Dragonite is such a good Pokemon. It's got decent bulk. It has an amazing ability, and my favorite thing to do with Dragonite is always weakness policy, Dragon Dance, multi-scale. We eat up that Ice Beam, and now we're sweeping. Like, I go into Battle Spot on X and Y and Oras with Dragonite all the time, just sitting there with the weakness policy, because honestly, like, what do you do when you see a +2, or not even a +2, with the weakness policy in Dragon Dance, +3 attack, +1 speed, Dragonite in front of your face? Like, there's not a whole lot you can do, especially with extreme speed. This thing is an absolute monster. Today's second psychic type on the list is Gardevoir. Now, Gardevoir is always a Pokemon that I recommend you go for in 3rd generation when you're playing through 3rd gen, because even though we have Dark type introduced and all that, Psychic type is still a ridiculously powerful typing. It's still very, very good. And Gardevoir sitting there with your Calm Minds, with your super high special attack. It's sweeping all the time. It's absolutely fantastic Pokemon, and it only got better as the generations went on, especially in Gen 6. It got that added Fairy type so it can spam those Moonblasts. You know, it doesn't care about any Dark types anymore. We got Moonblast, we don't care. And it got its Mega Evolution, which made it ridiculously powerful. Super, super high special attack. Probably one of my favorite Mega Evolutions in the entire series. And Gardevoir is definitely one of my favorite Psychic types in the series as well. Tapu Bulu is next up on today's list. I think is personally the best designed Tapu. I don't know what it is about the bull. A lot of people don't like it. For some reason, I like it a lot. And Tapu Bulu is an absolute monster. It absolutely deserves to be on the 100 greatest Pokemon list. Because even if you give this thing a Choice Scarf, you know, you don't boost this thing's attack in any way, it can still one-shot so much with its Wood Hammer. It has a huge attack stat. Of course, if you really want to destroy your enemy, you can give it a Choice Band or a Life Orb or something like that. But that's not the only way you can play it. You can play it Stolly. You can go Substitute. It has its Terrain, which is always cool. It can restore its health. You know, Leftovers. It's got the Terrain. It's restoring so much health. It can use Horn Leech. It can use Leech Seed. It can be a real annoying little Stolly Pokemon. Or it could be an absolute monster if you wanted to as well. Tapu Bulu is amazing. We are sticking with Alola for the next entry on the list. We got Mudsdale here, and Mudsdale is another one of those Pokemon that as soon as I saw it, I knew I was gonna love it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, hey, this Pokemon looks really cool, and it is still an amazing Pokemon in the game as well. It has access to a lot of good moves, like Heavy Slam. Of course, it has its own high horsepower, which is really cool. Not quite as good as Earthquake, but still a pretty cool move to see. You know, we need some more ground type moves. Earthquake is pretty much over-centralized the ground typing, so it's nice to have some other stuff. And Tapu Bulu, what? Mudsdale also has Stamina, which is an amazing ability. Boosts its defense every time it takes a hit. So you gave this thing an Assault Vest, and it just does not care about any hits at all. It's got so much defense, it doesn't care. It also has pretty good attack. It's kind of sad that a horse Pokemon is really slow, but you look at it and it kind of makes sense, I suppose. It makes sense. And I loved using it in my LP as well. The fourth Psychic type Pokemon on today's list, and the second Mew. That's a lot. But, of course, you can't have a greatest Pokemon list of all time and not include Mewtwo. Just outside of the top 10, we have Mewtwo. Like, there's no way you can make a list and not have this thing. This thing is an absolute monster. It has 2 separate Mega Evolutions. Of course, they're banned because they're just too strong. They're made and instantly banned because we don't need that in our metagame. No thank you, not for me. Mewtwo is the OG strongest of the strong. Of course, we've all seen the movie. We've all seen the movie. He made his island. He made his clones, and they're all bigger and better than the originals because Mewtwo is bigger and better than the original. I'm sorry, I personally think that he is the better Mew, but I don't know. There's so much you can say about Mewtwo. I'm just gonna leave it off here. Mewtwo is number 12. But finishing off today's list, we are going right back to Pallet Town, back to the first starters we could ever pick. And my personal favorite, right now at least, and the Pokemon that I think is probably a little bit too underrated, is Venusaur here. Venusaur is an absolutely amazing Pokemon. Now, Gen 1 was, I guess, overpopulated with these grass poison types that made Bulbasaur a little bit less cool, a little bit less valuable. You know, people go after Squirtle, they go after Charmander. They're sleeping on Venusaur, though. It's such a good Pokemon. It can put you to sleep. can throw sludge bombs at you. It's got thick fat when it mega evolves, so it doesn't even care about those ice or fire type moves. It negates 2 of its weaknesses. I absolutely love Mega Venusaur and Venusaur in general. And it's another Pokemon you can go on and on and on about, but I really feel like it deserves a spot on the list. Not quite the top 10, but almost there. But that is gonna finish up today's list. We went through 20 through 11. Next time, of course, will be the top 10 and the end of the list. So if you did enjoy this, please do destroy that like button right below this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.